This is the Honor Magic VS presented at MWC 2023, and it's another foldable that addresses many pain points that you may find in your typical Galaxy Z Fold, if you will. My biggest pet peeve with foldable phones is that their external screen is always awkward to use. Samsung's Z Fold has a very narrow display on the outside that's just very jarring to type on. The Oppo Find N has a very wide external display, which is okay to type on, but feels weird compared to modern candy bar phones. This Honor Magic VS has an external screen with a 21:9 aspect ratio, similar to what you have on your iPhones, Galaxies and Pixels out there. It's a 6.45-inch display, so just for comparison's sake, it's somewhere between an iPhone and an iPhone Plus or a Samsung Galaxy S23 and S23 Plus. So it's perfectly usable. You can do anything phone related on that external screen and it won't feel like a compromise that's a bit too narrow because the phone happens to be foldable. The inside screen is 7.9 inches with an aspect ratio of 10.3:9, so it's almost squarish. For comparison, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 has a 7.6-inch internal screen with a 10.8:9, so they're almost the same in shape and size. You will also notice that the Honor Magic VS appears very thin with absolutely no gap in the middle when it's folded. This is very cool as Honor has developed a special hinge that only has 4 moving parts in it, which allows it to stay slim and fairly light. The phone is rated for 400,000 folds. This means that if you unfold and fold it 100 times per day, you can still use it for 10 years, in theory. For comparison, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is rated for 200,000 folds, which is again a crazy number. Notably though, the Honor Magic VS has absolutely no form of water resistance rating, which is a place where the Galaxy Z Fold still wins. Yes, we've also seen gapless foldables from Oppo and Xiaomi, but those still don't launch outside of China. The Honor VS is headed for European and Latin American markets, so obviously the company has international intentions. Now, if you're worried about damaging the display in the middle there with such a tight close, there's still a raised lip inside, which doesn't allow the two halves of the display to touch when it's folded. So if you have a speck of dust in there, it won't instantly puncture the screen as you slap it closed. But as with every foldable, use common sense. These screens are still not glass and they do need to be babied. Okay, what about screen quality? We have OLED panels, inside and out. The cover screen supports a refresh rate of up to 120 Hz with 1200 nits of peak brightness, so it will be your main driver when you're out and about under direct sunlight. The inside screen tops out at 90 Hz, sadly, and its peak brightness is 800 nits, so it will still be usable in daylight, just not as bright. Although, since the inside screen is not covered by a thick layer of glass, maybe there will be less reflections to worry about, so we'll have to wait and see. Nevertheless, both screens support HDR10+, which means you can enjoy high-quality content on both of them. The software experience here is the typical Honor ordeal, kinda Huawei-ish. The skin is called Magic OS 7.1 and it's on top of Android 13. We do get a couple of proprietary apps like Health and the Honor App Store, but notably not a lot of bloatware, which is really appreciated. Now, in case you were wondering, Huawei did sell Honor off, so Honor is not affected by the bans and restrictions, so you do get Play Store on this phone. I'm not a huge fan of Magic OS as I've been burned by its looks and feels in the past, but I do want to spend more time with the phone if I am to cast judgment. As you can guess, it has a lot of multitasking and split screen options to leverage the huge screen real estate on the inside. Notably, Honor has pledged 3 years of Android updates and 5 years of software security patches for the Honor Magic VS. So it launches now with Android 13, it will get Android 16 in 2026, and then it will still have a couple of years of life left in it. Unfortunately, the Magic VS you see here does not support any type of stylus. There is an Honor Magic VS Ultimate, which does, but it seems that one will stay exclusive to China. So if you're a fan of some stylus action on your foldable, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is still your best bet. Also, the Magic VS comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is technically a last gen chip. It's barely half a year old, but technically last gen. I think it's a fine processor, we just have to wait and see what Honor has done with it. What is notable, however, is that the battery inside the Honor Magic VS is a 5000 mAh one. This is typical capacity you get in your flagship phones like the Galaxy S23 Ultra. However, it is the first time that such a big battery has made its way into a foldable phone. There's a triple camera on the back, and I'm kind of worried about the specs. The main camera is a 54 megapixel Sony IMX800 and a lens with an f1.9 aperture. Now, this is kind of a small camera sensor and not a very wide aperture for today's smartphone standards, and it also lacks optical image stabilization, so I'm kind of pessimistic on its performance indoors, and not even to talk about low-light scenarios. The ultra-wide camera is a 50 megapixel one and it has a lens aperture of f2.0, which is faster than what we usually see. And it also has autofocus, so it doubles as a macro camera, which is nice. There's also a telephoto camera with 3x zoom for portraits, f2.4, and this one does have optical image stabilization, which is kind of weird. Maybe Honor is super confident in the performance of the main camera, so it decided to save the OIS module for the telephoto. We'll have to wait and see. Finally, let's talk price. Now, the Honor Magic VS is launching in Europe for €1,599, and that's for a 512GB storage with 12 gigs of RAM model. That is €100 less than the entry-level price for the Galaxy Z Fold 4, which is €1,699 for 256 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM again. But of course, you know, with Samsung's pricing we always get some deals and some hooks. So let's just call it and say that the phones are priced kind of evenly. Now, with the Honor Magic VS you get a better, more usable external screen, a better hinge design where you don't get gaps, and a slightly slimmer phone. With the Galaxy Z Fold 4 you get the potential to use the S Pen with it if you want to, and you get one more year of Android updates since Samsung has pledged 4 years. All other things like specs and features seem to kind of even out, at least on paper. Of course, let's not forget that Samsung has a much richer ecosystem of devices that the Galaxy Z Fold 4 can connect to, and also it has an established network of service centers in case you need support. So if you were to decide to get the Honor Magic VS, it's kind of the more adventurous decision, but also a bit more exciting maybe. I can't really say much more. This has been a quick hands-on with the Honor Magic VS. Stay tuned for more from MWC. See you next time. Subscribe, like, comment and stuff.